everyone. So we have some news of around 400 migrants being found in abandoned buses in Mexico. These individuals were, of course, on their way to America. Additionally, there are Mexican flags being flown in a part of Ocala, Florida. You may be wondering why. Well, apparently there was a tragic accident that cost the lives of some migrants. And so there are some people that are now paying tribute. I do want to keep you updated, and I want to hear your thoughts on these stories. That being said, let's get started. All right, guys, so all of these videos are from Univision, and so I will translate for you. This report starts by saying 3 buses with hundreds of abandoned migrants were found at a highway in Mexico. Per Mexican immigration officials, the 407 migrants were traveling in unhealthy conditions. Then here we have Daniel. He's a Honduran migrant, and he says, "We want help. We want them to give us a passport so that we can continue going up north. We don't want to go back to our country. The situation in our country is very difficult." Furthermore, within this group, there were 51 unaccompanied children and teenagers, as well as a pregnant woman. There were 4 individuals that were hospitalized. These migrants were from Guatemala, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua. So that one was pretty brief, but those images are pretty strong. Just to think that those 3 buses was full of these individuals, including 51 unaccompanied children and teenagers. Why? What were they doing there? What is the purpose of them coming here? Is anybody asking those questions? Yet another report that highlights the big problem we have with human trafficking. And let's not forget that we are unable to verify how many of those individuals are dangerous criminals. These were 3 buses that were found. What about those that are still on the road today? Let's move forward with the next report. The journalist here says this video shows the chaotic scene that was occurring at the place of the accident, where a bus that was filled with working migrants was flipped over when it was impacted by a man that was apparently under various substances. Per the police, the bus was totaled. Here we are able to get some audio from the radio where it says we have 53 patients. Then the fireman says 13 critical, and they'll still be stuck inside the bus.
We have 53 patients.
Those 13 critical, they're still going to be stuck inside the bus.
The journalist proceeds. The roads were closed for many hours. A lot of the victims flew outside of the bus after being hit, and their bodies were scattered all over the place. Here we have Ramon Perez. He was one of those that survived, and he feels he is still alive because of a miracle. The journalist says that he has an injured lung and a lot of injuries. Here he says, there was a colleague of mine that was older, and when I saw him, his face was pretty much opened up after the impact. He says another colleague of mine was very small and he was just flying around like a doll. The journalist states he heard a lot of cries for help and screams. He exited the bus through a window. He only had been working for 4 days, and he says that he is working or was working to be able to get his children out of poverty. Then she says, in the bus, they also had Manuel Perez, who was 46 and did not make it. His family in Mexico is very hurt right now. This is the father of the victim, and he is crying, saying that that was his first son, and he's sobbing, as you can see right there. And this one is the daughter of the victim. She's crying, and she says, he went to look for a better life for me and my mother, and now we don't have him. Today, only the victims are staying at this hotel. The rest of the workers resumed their activities at the farm. She says activists are considering the possibility of suing to be able to get some form of compensation for the migrants. And they also want to assist them in getting humanitarian visas. Okay, so what is your take on this story thus far? In all fairness, she did not specify if these individuals crossed the border illegally. I am assuming they did, since she mentioned that activists are seeking to, or at least are thinking about, the possibility of requesting humanitarian visas. Leads me to believe they don't have any. But what do you think about this situation? I mean, they crossed here illegally, they were going to work, they got hit by a guy that was apparently either drunk or high, and now we have this tragedy. But at the same time, you can also have the other side that says, well, they were not supposed to be here to begin with. But then the other side can say, well, yeah, but you're just not going to have someone that was driving under the influence just be killing people on the streets, which, to be honest, it could have been anybody, right? So what do you think thus far? Let's jump onto the follow-up to this story, which is the update that they are giving us now. The journalist starts by saying this past Saturday, 8 crosses with Mexican flags are standing on a road in Ocala, Florida, 1 per migrant. This is due to the tragic death of those individuals that was extremely violent and bloody. This happened last Tuesday, and hundreds of people are coming to pay their respects. She says these 8 farm workers were suddenly killed. Brian McLean Howard, who is 40 years old, was arrested a few hours after the accident, and now he is detained without bail. He's being accused of causing this tragedy that left a lot of people injured and hospitalized. Here, the journalist is showing one of the brothers of the victim who is assisting with funeral arrangements. Now, his brother was 31 years old. His name was Carlos, and he is leaving 4 children behind. His brother says they got out of there, meaning their country, to seek a visa to be able to work so that they can help their families. According to him, his brother Oscar arrived in the country a couple of weeks before the tragic accident. Here, she's showing another victim's brother who is deeply disturbed by what happened. He hasn't been able to assist the funeral, and he's upset that he has no access to the remains of his brother as of this recording. On the other hand, the journalist says that some farm organizations have been able to raise over $100,000 for the victims and the victims' families. The Department of Labor stated that they know about the tragedy and they have opened an investigation. When it comes to the investigation of Olvera Trucking Harvesting Company, which is the company that owns the buses. We tried to get a response from them, but unfortunately, nothing came back. However, the spouse of the owner did reply to us, and she said, I am not officially involved with this company, but my husband is focused in helping all of those victims and their families. The journalist finalizes the report and says the documents that were presented to the Department of Labor shows that this company, Olvera Trucking, was hiring 43 farm workers with visas H-2A. Some of these employees have confirmed that they received payments below the $15 per hour rate to work in the farm, and they work from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., 6 days a week. The report ends right there. So what do you guys think about this story? Now, Univision did not make it clear in the report if this company, Olvera Trucking, was hiring illegals or people with visas, or if they provided those individuals with visas. I know she said that some had visas, but it is unclear as to how many within the company. Nevertheless, it is a tragedy, but I do want to hear from you. Do you think that this company should be held accountable for what happened, or should this be a taxpayer burden one more time, where the government should issue humanitarian visas? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that is all she wrote, my friends. Thank you so much for your amazing support. My channel is growing very quickly because of you. The shout outs of those great supporters of mine are in the description below. Do not forget to follow me everywhere and smash that like button. We need the algorithm on our side. And of course, subscribe. I will see you guys on the next video.